few more people to join. Right, so we're going to have the speaker standing here. Speaker standing here and then the women behind.
I've got to film.
You're doing individuals, aren't you?
Oh, we're ready.
Yeah, we're ready. Come a bit closer so we can hear you.
I'm leading this on behalf of Fern Hickson in Wellington. I am a woman. I denounce the ideology of gender identity that says anyone can be a woman. It is not hateful or bigoted to say that no woman has a penis and that humans cannot change sex. These are scientific facts. When someone chooses to believe otherwise, they are entitled to do so, but they have no right to demand that the rest of us comply with their beliefs. They are raging a crusade against the reality of female bodies. I am a woman and a mother of 3 daughters. We deserve to feel safe in our female single-sex spaces. Allowing any man to identify as a female, including the voyeurs, exhibitionists and perverts, turns all female spaces into mixed-sex spaces that are no longer safe for women and children. The transgender umbrella now includes a large number of fully intact heterosexual males who are sexually gratified by wearing women's clothing and demanding sex from lesbians. Putting on a dress does not magically make every man in a dress benign. Because some men are predators, all men, including the ones who say they are women, must be excluded from female spaces. I am a woman, a mother and a grandmother. I reject the erasure of words woman and mother from our language. If the 60,000 or so women who give birth each year in Rotorua are asked their opinion, I am certain that the vast majority would agree that we treasure the category mother as the only word that encompasses the enormous changes in a woman's life brought about by giving birth and caring for an infant. The excuse that the language change is to promote inclusivity has no merit. Extrapolating from Australian figures, because there are no New Zealand ones available, there are likely to be fewer than 12 females who claim to feel like men who give birth here each year. Extremist gender activists want to change the language that is understood and accepted by over 59,000
You need to come closer, they can't hear on the screen.
for the sake...
For the sake... Sorry, I interrupted your flow.
From there again. Extremist gender activists want to change the language that is understood and accepted by over 59,000 women for the sake of feelings of only 12 individuals. Removing woman and mother from our language might make 12 females feel better, but excludes the other 59,000 women from hearing the language they prefer. If women and mothers no longer exist in our language, how can specific reproductive health needs ever be identified, recorded, measured or met? I am a woman whose equal human rights have only recently been recognised in law. Trans activists now demand more rights than anyone else. They want the legal right to be treated in all respects as a category of people they don't belong to. No one else has this right. Everyone else knows they cannot use the services which are provided for someone else's specific needs. I am a woman who wants to have the scientific facts of female sex upheld in language and law. I will not bow down to the absurd belief that humans can physically change their sex. I am a woman. There is only one kind. We are adult human females. These are the words of Fern Hickson in Wellington.
Yes. Thank you. Have we got any more? Hi.
Hello, I'm Anthea from London, standing in solidarity with the women from New Zealand. This is from Katrina from Christchurch. This story relates to the Christchurch City Council, but may apply to other councils as well. In October 2021, the Christchurch City Council opened a new swimming pool in the suburb of Linwood. They consulted with the community prior to opening it and got overwhelming support for a women-only session. To their credit, the council bent over backwards to make this a good place for women. Then they said that men who call themselves women were welcome in it too. That last bit was not included in the community consultation process. It was quietly dropped in afterwards. What a surprise. However, when complaints were made to the council about the inclusion of men in the women's session, they inferred that it had been part of that process. That claim was not correct, as ascertained by getting information via the Local Government Official Information Act. The template letter sent to all complainants also had the statement, "By law we cannot discriminate, and trans women and gender diverse people who identify as women are women." The Christchurch City Council have been advised that saying they cannot discriminate is legally incorrect, and no law has been passed to say that a woman is no longer an adult human female. I have no evidence that they don't still include this incorrect statement in their response letter, because despite asking for it twice, I have had no response. Now, I don't believe that the people in the Christchurch City Council are all bad people, but some key peoples are captured up to their eyeballs with gender ideology and can't see past it. They won't budge on their stance that men who adopt the moniker of woman are women, purely because if that's how those men feel, it must be true. A group of women met with the council and suggested a compromise on the women's session to accommodate those men, but no go. Instead, the council's suggestion in return was that if we want single-sex sessions, then we should book and manage them ourselves. It is important to note that service providers can still legally provide a single-sex service if they want to. They will still be able to do so after sex self-ID becomes law in mid-June this year. However, our Human Rights Commission appears to be doing their utmost to confuse everyone about this, as they want gender to be the determining factor in everything and do away with our sex biological bodies mattering at all. Well, our biological bodies do matter. They are everything to us. Our bodies are what we live in. There are times when having a space away from male bodies helps women to thrive. But it seems that women thriving is not really all that important to our councils and government departments, even though they may well protest that it is. And how many times do we hear from them that there is no evidence which proves men who say they are women are a risk to women? Because somehow the entire history of humankind does not contain enough evidence to show that there are always men of any stripe who will take any opportunity to get at women and girls, either to get a thrill by making us uncomfortable or afraid, or to harm us more seriously. Are our councils and government departments really wanting another body count before believing it this time? And what about the "we haven't received any complaints" nonsense, whilst at the same time refusing to accept complaints about men being in women's spaces? We've been well stitched up there, haven't we? In the end, demanding evidence and citing no complaints are just red herrings. I don't care if nothing ever happens or if there are never any complaints received. I don't care if some women are fine with having men in women's spaces. The bottom line is that no woman or girl should ever have to go into our own spaces or be forced to use unisex spaces wondering what kind of man or boy might be hanging around there this time. Just that one thing kills the freedoms women fought so long and hard for. We insist that councils and government departments respect our freedoms and stop creating policies that decimate them. Policies which allow free and unfettered access to all women's spaces and sport to any man whatsoever who says he's a woman. Our lives are not yours to play with like that. Thank you, Katrina from Christchurch.
Thank you, Katrina. You going to do one?
I've got there in Auckland.
Go on then, come over here. She's going to go next, then you do it.
Are you ready?
We're ready.
I'm Dr. M and I want to read for my sister Bear in Auckland. Why does it feel like history is repeating itself? Women who dared speak up were once slurred with suffragette, spinster and witch. In 2023, we are now slurred with bitch, Nazi and turf. These are the modern witch trials of those who dare to speak out against gender ideology. What we are seeing today is misogyny, disguised as trans rights. Where once there were lobotomies and electric shock therapy for gay people, there is now puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones and gender reassignment. What we are seeing today is homophobia disguised as gender-affirming care. Evidence shows that if left alone, most children presenting with gender dysphoria will grow up to be bisexual, lesbian and gay adults. The lie we are fed by TRAs is that gender-affirming care is life-saving, but this could not be further from the truth. A Swedish study showed that 10 to 15 years after surgical reassignment, the suicide rate of those who had undergone sex reassignment was 20 times higher than that of their peers. Even after social and medical transition, people with gender dysphoria have considerably higher risks for suicidal behaviour than the general population. TikTok, Instagram and Tumblr are the Pied Pipers of gender ideology. And they're leading our children with enticing, irresponsible lies that they can change themselves into something cool and trendy if they just take these dangerous life-altering hormones. What we are seeing today is yet another social contagion among teenagers and young people. Health risks associated with puberty blockers, reassignment surgery and cross-sex hormones include type 2 diabetes, blood clots, an inability to orgasm, high blood pressure, infertility and osteoporosis. We have been told that puberty blockers are safe and reversible. Another dangerous lie among a multitude of lies. Luperon, a drug once used to chemically castrate sex offenders, is now being given to children presenting with gender dysphoria. Side effects include loss of bone mineral density, seizures, thrombosis, myocardial infarction, gastrointestinal bleeding, among many other horrific side effects. These sickening and atrocious acts are being performed on children as young as 9, with some parents claiming they have a transgender child as young as 2 years old. Children cannot consent to any of this. No one would ever tell a teenage girl suffering from anorexia that her body dysmorphia should be affirmed, and to achieve her true skinny self, we should start on a diet pills. Why are we telling children who believe they are the opposite sex that to achieve their true gender self, we should start them on cross-sex hormones? We should tell young girls that there is no right way to be a girl. Girls, it is okay to play with cars, to cut your hair short, hate wearing dresses and love playing in the mud, and it's okay to be same-sex attracted. None of this makes you a boy or non-binary. Gender ideology is not only taking a toll on our children's physical and mental well-being, but also throwing girls and women to the wolves. There are currently thousands of males worldwide in women's prisons, rape shelters, domestic violence refuges, and competing in women's sport. Many of the males currently in women's prisons have been convicted of assault, rape, and the murder of children and women.
these males are locked up with women. Because they simply say they are women. Research shows that males who identify as trans are just as likely to commit violence and sexual crimes as males who don't identify as trans. How can anyone agree with a male being housed in a women's prison, especially one convicted of rape or murder?
Yeah.
It speaks volumes of gender ideology when women who are fighting so hard to safeguard children and women, they're called bigots and fascists. It is highly suspicious that trans rights activists are hell-bent on silencing women and detransitioners. It is revealing when those peddling gender ideology are so intent on referring to women as menstruators, cervix havers and birthing people, stripping us of our identity and humanity. It is emblematic that trans rights activists are committed to indoctrinating young lesbians into thinking they are transphobic if they do not want to be in a romantic or sexual relationship with somebody, a man, who has a penis. Maybe history is not repeating itself. Maybe misogyny and homophobia never left. In the words of George Orwell, the party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. Thank you, Bear, from Auckland.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just wait 1 minute while I just plug the phone in because it's running out of battery. Have another sing song.
Where's Julia?
If a person has a penis, go on that one.
Do that one.
I've just got to charge the phone up.
We could do with a new one, really, couldn't we?
Well, get right in, Jules. Sorry about that.
Should we? Are we doing it? Oh, pressure. Oh, not
No pressure. There's only 132 people watching live, Julia.
Is it recording now?
Yes.
Oh, I thought
It's
you
a
were
live
setting it
stream the
up.
whole time.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were starting a new one. Oh,
No.
God, right, it is
Where's
like-
Julia? Here she is.
Right. Should we just
Joe
do
Beer
Laura-
says,
let's
where's
do
Julia?
Laura Hubbard is a man.
Go on then.
Singing Laura.
Laurel Hubbard is a man.
Singing Laurel Hubbard is a man. Singing Laurel Hubbard. Get back in your cupboard. Laurel Hubbard is a man. Who else is a man? Give me Leah
Thomas is a man.
Leah Thomas is a man. Singing Leah Thomas. Leah Thomas. Leah Thomas is a man. India Willoughby's a man. Singing India Willoughby's a man. Singing Jonathan Willoughby.
Jonathan Willoughby's a man. Eddie Izzard.
Singing Eddie Izzard is a man.
Singing Eddie Izzard is a man. Singing Eddie Izzard.
Eddie Izzard. Eddie Izzard is a man. What's his name? Pipkins? What's his name? Pipkins?
Chris Hipkins. Is it the Prime Minister? Is he called Chris Hipkins? It says it on your sign, look. Oh no, it doesn't.
Mr. Hipkins, get a grip. Do that. Get a grip on your country. Singing Mr. Hipkins, get a grip.
Singing Mr. Hipkins, get a grip.
Singing Mr. Hipkins, pursue with the full force of the law. Get a grip. We do it again. Mr. Hipkins, get a grip. Singing Mr. Hipkins, get a grip. Protect the women in your country. You allow men to purchase the bodies of women in prostitution, but you do not allow a woman to say what a woman is. Disgusting.
Shame on you, Mr. Hipkins.
Get a grip.
Mr. Hipkins, get a grip.
Singing Mr. Hipkins, get a grip.
Singing Mr. Hipkins, Mr. Hipkins.
Mr. Hipkins, get a grip. Who's the head of police? Anyone know?
Oh, I did have it. I had it on my tissue, but I can't remember.
Auckland Police.
Okay.
Singing Auckland Police, do your job.
Singing Auckland Police, do your job.
Singing Auckland Police, you're taking the piss. Auckland Police, do your job.
One more time.
Singing Mr. Hipkins, get a grip. Singing Mr. Hipkins, get a grip. Singing Mr. Hipkins. We're all totally disgusted with the sight of Posey Margaret, Kelly J. Keane and her colleagues and friends and associates being treated in that not just disgusting, not just an abominable, but in that life-threatening way. You need to act now. It's already too late. You've already disgraced yourself. Act now, Hipkins. Act now.
Hipkins the hypocrite.
We know he's a hypocrite.
Hypocrite. Sing, we know he's a hypocrite.
Singing, we know Hipkins. We know Hipkins. We know he's a hypocrite. Singing Auckland Police, do your job.
Do your job.
Singing Auckland Police, do your job.
Do your job.
Singing Auckland Police. We're disgusted with you as well. You didn't even turn up.
Do your job.
Do your job. You did not even turn up to protect those women in the face of that male violence. They were threatened with all of you saw those signs. Kill TERFs, decapitate TERFs, F them up, all of that. You failed to protect them. Shame on you. We are
Shame on you.
And James Cleverly, well, live up to your name maybe, for I'm sure that joke's been made many times. James Cleverly, you need to be putting pressure on the New Zealand government now to actually do what they can to at least attempt to remedy the disgraceful situation, the disgraceful scenes that we all witnessed. So you all need to get on and do your job. If you claim to support women's rights, now is the time to stand up and defend them.
Yes.
Singing James, cleverly do your
Job. Singing James, cleverly do your job.
Singing James,
Cleverly.
tomorrow he might be cleverly. Cleverly do your job.
Great. Should we have another speech? Let's do that afterwards. We'll have another speech. Have a little break. Have another speech, and then we'll do another song.
Statement from Dawn Trenberth, resident of Auckland. I wanted to speak. I was a marshal and intended to go and speak towards the end. You all know what happened. I was not one of the brave marshals who got Kelly J out. I did not make it to the band rotunda. I was a long-standing member of the Labour Party and was an elected member and deputy chair of the Otara Papatoto Local Board, a local authority representing about 80,000 people. I lost the last election partly because the people in our area were not happy with Labour. There was a swing against the party, partly because of poor efforts in dealing with crime, and a series of ram raids was upsetting particularly the ethnic community which usually votes for us. Auckland Labour has a number of TERFs, and we challenged the Minister for Women at a women's Zoom meeting on the Births, Deaths and Marriages Bill amendment, which led to self-ID. I got to know several TERFs at this meeting and we connected. We spoke, but we were not listened to. Some MPs will privately agree with us, but they will not speak up publicly. I had been involved in a complaints process in the Labour Party, as at a policy remits meeting, I spoke against a remit that said all toilets should be gender neutral. I said that the arguments made by an AGP, who is on the Women's Council as he is married to a woman and considers himself a lesbian, and he represents the rainbow sector, that trans people need to be able to be accepted, and not letting them in gender neutral toilets could lead to suicide were ridiculous, and the suicide stats were quite questionable. Another woman also spoke against the remit. She is reasonably high level in the party. This was a Zoom meeting as we were at high restriction level in 2021 due to lockdown. The comments exploded. We were called TERFs and bigots. I argued back. Someone who had chaired the local government sector when I was secretary privately messaged to say he really liked me, but I was very wrong on this. I made a lot of alliances through this chat, through the people who were supportive. This is how we need to work on this. I made a complaint about the abuse we had received online. Someone from the rainbow sector made a complaint about us hurting trans people. This went through the complaints process. We had an email chain of about 9 women I had gathered who were sympathetic to us, and we supported each other. I contacted all the women who were named in the ridiculous, crazy complaint. The party took both complaints as one. In the end, they decided to dismiss both complaints, as there is a place for robust debate in the party. A good response. And I was going to say, stay in your parties and work within them, as it can be effective. Saturday changed everything. I was shocked at the breakdown of law and order, free speech, and the violence. I was also really angry that key government members were telling lies about Kelly J, and that at least 6 government MPs were at the counter-protest, and also 2 members of the Labour Party ruling council. I drafted my resignation at 3 o'clock in the morning as I couldn't sleep. On Monday, I sent it. There is no point in compromising myself anymore. I'm going to focus on working for women's rights. That was a statement from Dawn Trenber. Thank you.
Thank you. Julia, the head of Auckland Police, someone just said it, is called Andre Costa. Oh, right. So with the next sing song, we'll use that. Remember, Andre Costa. Thank you, whoever said that. Have we got any more speeches? Yes, we have.
Hello. Henry Oxley in Wellington. It breaks my heart that he was silenced with violence. But here are your words. Lesbian Action for Visibility in Aotearoa Lava is a rare lesbian group here which is made up only of lesbians. Lesbians can't meet online in lesbian social groups if we're considered TERF, whereas men who identify as lesbian are welcome. I'm not a trans exclusionary lesbian, I'm a male exclusionary lesbian. These men can go somewhere else to pull themselves together, far, far away from lesbians who have no interest in men. Those of us who actually are lesbian need each other to be more visible, even those of us who are mistaken for men by not conforming to stereotypes. There's been many good reasons for women to pass as men through the ages, to write books, work in science, avoid male violence, get men's wages, and to be listened to and taken seriously. Women who are taking testosterone find that they are being mistaken for men, and so people tend to take their opinions as reliable fact and are less likely to speak over them. If you needed any proof of the status that men have over women in our cultures, this is surely it. When a woman is mistaken for a man, she recognises the change in how others treat her. She's taken more seriously day to day by all of us. Let this experience of these women passing as men be a reminder of the need for women to be working together for emancipation in our sexist culture, so that women are taken seriously, whatever our race, class, religion, physical abilities or sexual preferences, while still acknowledging the differences between males and females. Lesbians are passed as men to live in same-sex relationships. About 50 years ago, a friend of mine went to a shrink when she wanted to change sex. Luckily, it was suggested that those women who fancy you now may not, when you are not, your authentic self. So she decided to not mutilate herself, to pass herself off as a man. Unlike many of the far right or conservative religions, we know there is absolutely nothing wrong with being a lesbian, wahine takatapui, a woman-loving woman, camp girl, sapphic, dyke, gay woman. We have worked hard to inform others of this. Let's make the most of this era when it is so much easier to totally enjoy our same-sex lovers because of their mindset, because of the lives women have lived, their bodies and our shared idea of what a good time is sexually. Being out as a lesbian and proud of our sex, whether conforming to sex stereotypes or not, means we need protection of our rights. But if the Human Rights Commission and government departments like Statistics New Zealand continue to maintain that people can change their sex during their lifetime, we won't even have data based on actual sex, let alone safety based on separation between males and females. Desexing the data is a win-win for men. We need to keep the difference between the sexes completely clear to ensure that lesbians are allowed to safely meet together without men and to safeguard all women and children. Let's fight together for young women to be in same-sex relationships without being legally or statistically classed
passed as men without being medicalised and without transing the gay away. Another method for women passing as men has been and continues to be to avoid being leered at by heterosexual males. Whenever the word lesbian is mentioned, heterosexual men tend to enjoy the thought of two women having sex. That's one of the underlying problems with being an out lesbian, men's fetishes. We know that the most popular category of porn for heterosexual men is lesbian. When lesbian and gay rights were being fought for, it gave straight men something else to think about when the word lesbian was mentioned. But nowadays, queer culture is riddled with heterosexism because of its straight men who are calling themselves women. Unfortunately, young questioning women get told off by these men, being told they are kink shaming if they don't support the fetish or have sex with these perving men. Currently, the public realm, as well as the queer scene, is extremely misogynistic and porn-filled. For example, on live TV, there was a comedy routine where a man with constructed bared breasts got away with playing the piano with his penis after singing about how he is a better woman because his tits will never sink. This misogyny demeans women, even women who are pretending they're not women, who tolerate the men who are pretending they're not men, at the same time as those men wield their power and maleness. We need women to stand together for the right to not participate in men's fetishes. A reason for women passing as men has been to avoid rules about how women should live. For example, marrying, having sex with men, raising children, being on board with leering judgments of glamour, wearing high heels to up-tilt the arse, being feminine. At least by passing as men, women are avoiding these ways in which our male-dominated culture expects us to spend our lives. In the Albanian Alps, there is a tradition of the Bernesha, which is where women swear an oath of celibacy and live as men. They've done this so that they have the right to do what they want and get respect. Being a sworn virgin is described as a protest, disguised as sacrifice. Unfortunately, the current trend here of young women calling themselves men or anything other than women is the opposite. It is a sacrifice disguised as a protest. They protest, but they are sacrificing the hard-won rights of women over the decades. They are sacrificing their body parts. They are sacrificing their allegiance with other women. If women want to pass as men, please don't damage yourself for life by transing. Don't be ashamed if you're exposed, if your sex is recognised. Know that a sex stereotype is not the same as your sex. Passing as a man is not the same as having grown up with both the natural developments of masculinity with the great advantages of male privilege. You may pass as a man, but you are not a man. So, unite for the liberation of women by being out and being proud of your sex. Yes! Great speech! Okay, just keep going and keep the last 2 rounds. Okay.
This is from an anonymous lady in Auckland. Can you hear me okay? Thank you for this opportunity to have my voice heard. I was at the Auckland event on March 25th and I was shocked and angry at the way protesters were given complete freedom to use their free speech to silence us. Here is what I wanted to say. I'm here to stand with our beautiful Wahine, our women, to protect our precious Tamariki, our children. As a Christian, I feel silenced for my moral views in today's liberal society. As I am not a mother, I have no platform to share my concerns over the sexualization of our young people in our schools and in our society. It may not mean to, but New Zealand relationships and sexuality education teaches gender dysphoria in school. By teaching gender fluidity, you are teaching a generation of children that the discomfort they feel in their own bodies, which is a normal part of puberty for all young people, means they're in the wrong body. You can't be in the wrong body. You are your body. You can't change sex. You can only mutilate the beautiful body God gave you and play dress up. It is a lie to believe you can change sex. The scriptures say, in the image of God he created him, male and female, he created them. Johns Hopkins University were the pioneers of and the first to stop sex reassignment surgery because they realised it doesn't work. Never mind the argument that if you don't transition your child, they will kill themselves. I have heard statistics that 7 years after transition, the suicide rate is higher than before transition. I've listened to many heartbreaking stories from the transgender community. Once the attention wanes and the milestones of recovery are achieved, reality hits. A man or woman who surgically changes their body to be more like the opposite sex will every morning be reminded of what they are not and will never be. Affirming care is not care. But our government, for all intents and purposes, has silenced all dissenting voices in our anti-conversion therapy law. How can you work through your thoughts and feelings if you never encounter a different opinion? I can't stand by and say nothing because I know our young people will soon be demanding answers from their elders about why they were allowed to make life-changing decisions without any kind of resistance. I know the pain of infertility and I can't imagine the anger I would feel towards the elders in my life if I had been allowed, even encouraged, to inflict this on myself at such a young and impressionable age. A message of support for those who feel they have to carve up their bodies. Don't. Just be who you are, who God created you to be. Carving yourself up and pouring cross-sex hormones into your body isn't living your authentic life. It's pretending to be something you're not. Living a lie will never give you the peace you're searching for. Jesus alone offers that. Thank you.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, I'm reading this from Miss Juliana Venning, MA Ons, DIP Teaching, Certificate in Counselling. She says, Rangi Marie Wahine Ma, Wangi Ehoa, Wahine Toa, which means peace to women friends, strong women. In 2012, I was nominated as a finalist for New Zealander of the Year, which nomination I had allowed to go forward to highlight Aotearoa rape statistics, women victims of male violence, girl survivors of incest. I was a nominee for speaking up for women and for outing Mike Tyson's 12 sexual assaults and other convictions against women, which got his visa revoked by our immigration department. Stopped one violent male, but not a victory. I became a focus for violence. A male, still a minister in our Labour government, who was appointed by Ms Arden, took to his radio show and urged men to teach me a lesson. They tried. Sounds all too familiar, doesn't it? Ministers of government urging violence towards women who dare to write to them and to publicly call them out on their repressive policies. The dangerous to our human rights and our very lives policies, which erase women's safe spaces, our very status, which result in indoctrination of our vulnerable cohort of children by a sick ideology, and that actively, via our health department, Hauaroa proceeds to neuter children instead of supporting and nurturing them. An appeal court judgment, Dickey versus R, 27th of January 2023, NZCA, recently found correctly that recent research has now confirmed that adolescent behaviour reflects the slow parts of the development of those parts of the brain that control higher order executive functioning, such as impulse control, risk assessment, and planning ability. Neurological development may not be complete until the age of 25, yet, despite this Court of Appeal ruling on the science of young minds, our government is allowing men in girls' and women's formerly safe places. Our government in Aotearoa is betraying women and our children by allowing trans ideology in schools, is encouraging teachers to follow their confused pupils' lead and to call the children who are victim of the cult allowed in schools via an education ministry contract to alter the sex education curriculum by Inside Out, a rainbow group, to call pupils by new pronouns and encourage the delusion to actively exclude parental rights and parental concerns. Duty of care is gone, no matter the risk, and I have had to go to court twice to try to get protection set up for my safety. We have to expose both the lies and to make the truth visible in the light. Kia kaha, wahine ma. Stay strong, women!
Yay! You next.
So, I'm very honoured to read Tanya Sturt's account from Auckland. I think we all might really want to pay attention to this one. It's very, very powerful first-hand account. Tanya says, I was part of the organising group that arranged Kelly J. Keen's visit to New Zealand. I was assaulted at Let Women Speak Auckland as we helped Kelly J leave the area that ended up hosting a riot, not of our making. I was screamed at, threatened, had liquids thrown on me, pushed to the ground, put in a headlock, scratched, punched and kicked by men who hate women. Here is the proof of the TRA's violence, contempt, hatred and dehumanisation that we've been talking about for years. They handed it to us on a plate. I only remember thinking, if I don't get up, don't stand up, I won't make it out alive. So I did stand up, though I don't remember how. Maybe the crowd surged forward and I was lucky to grab the momentum. Maybe I did it on my own, but I fucking got back up. I will hold others to account for their betrayal. To the police operator who refused to do anything. To the police who lied and said they'd protect us, then stood around watching. To the media who fed the public lies and vitriol. To the politicians that say trans rights are more important than the women who gave birth to them. To the men who attacked me, I will never forgive them. I will not stop fighting. I will not lose my womanhood to misogyny, homophobia, delusion and lies. I will not allow gender ideology to erase me. I will not allow this future for my descendants. They knocked me down, I got back up, and it's all practice for next time round. This bitch is now Legion.
Yay! Yay! Powerful stuff. Have we got any more?
Merlin, yours, because we need to get going and...
What time is it, Iris?
I just can't remember. Do you remember whether...
Iris, what's the time?
4:30. We have to be there early.
What?
We're stewarded, so we have to be there early.
What, jails?
Huh?
At the jails?
Yeah.
16:29, half past 4.
That was the memory.
Right, yeah. And I don't think that was... I can say, stop me if you've heard it before. Right, okay, on we go. Right, am I close enough? Right, so this is Stella's testimony of Auckland Let Women Speak event.
I was at the Let Women Speak Auckland rally on March 25th, 2023, where the massed protesters crashed through the barricades and surrounded Kelly J. Keane, who had been assaulted as soon as she set foot on the stage. The stage had been set up in the hexagonal...
I think we've had this one. We had this one at the beginning. Yeah, we have.
Last.
Yeah.
Oh, beg your pardon. Right.
Yeah, we had that one at the beginning.
Oh, right, okay.
Is that it for everyone? We have the last sing song?
Yeah,
Women's rights.
The women's rights. Come on.
Anyone got the words?
Everyone come in and we'll sing the song. Come in the shot, everyone.
Words, anybody?
Come in the shop. I think we've done all the speeches now, so we're just having a last sing song. Low, start low.
We will defend our rights. We stand together side by side. We'll not give up
This fight. So low.
All women's rights are human rights. We won't let you forget. All women's rights are human rights. This isn't over yet.
Start low.
Politicians and their friends may think we can be calm. Our minds and bodies will defend our noble ring and round. For women's rights are human rights. We won't let you forget. For women's rights are human rights. This isn't over yet. So raise a hand in sisterhood. Our strength will be below. For dignity, reality, we are standing side by side. For women's rights are human rights. We won't let you forget. For women's rights are human rights. This isn't over yet.
Yay! Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you on Sunday at Speaker's Corner.